Welcome back to Weekend Smile, guys. Now, the biggest benefit of having a mentor is having someone you can ask questions, and get advice from. It creates valuable and effective development opportunities. Here to tell us more about his role as a mentor is Sean Davis. Hi, Sean. Welcome to Weekend Smile. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Sean,
You
good
are more
morning, man.
than
How you doing?
welcome.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I see you're ready. I see you wake up early and you're ready
Ah,
to take on the
I
world.
know
And
the
tell us,
struggle, but yes, I'm here.
and also tell us, why is mentorship important, Sean?
Well, mentorship is very critical for the development of, I'd say, every human being, because we are born with some innate skills and competencies, but we don't have it all. And so, if we can find persons who are able to walk us through this life's journey together, it makes living more worthwhile. It makes our experiences better, and it aids in enhancing how best we can contribute to the development of ourselves and our society. And that I found very useful as persons grabbed me from I was very young in the church, in school, in my community, and they helped me to understand the value I had. And I placed that value on myself, even as I continued to journey through life. And then I started to replicate that to persons who I've encountered along my journey. So mentorship is very critical for human development.
Oftentimes mentorship is viewed that the effects of mentorship is for those persons who are being mentored. But you as a mentor, there are some attributes, there are some things that happens to you once you're a mentor. Tell me some of the effects of being mentored and also to mentor.
All right. So in terms of being mentored, you benefit from the wealth of knowledge that persons who would have perhaps usually older than you would have had in their various career fields, in their life experiences, and all they would have gone through as in their own development. But in learning from them, you grasp the knowledge in order to take on perhaps similar or different challenges that life throws at us, but it enables you to be able to know that as you are journeying, you will encounter challenges, but it's not beyond you. It's not anything that you can't overcome. It's not nothing that you can't face, that you can't take on. And so when you see your mentors who would have gone through various challenges still come through like almost pure gold, then you know that you have the capacity to become that pot of gold, to become that person who is able to add value to society. And I've found that throughout my experiences within the church, my one of my former pastor, Reverend Bosworth Mullings, would have taken me, molded me, and that is how I realized that I had this call to preach. And the images shown earlier with some of my young people, that I know I'm able to replicate that same type of hand holding and helping them to realize their full potential. I've also found that in terms of having one-on-one with your colleagues, you are able to learn from them in the process of teaching them. And so my on screen now, my aunt Marcia, who would have taken me as her own. I know some persons think that she's my mother. One of my other colleagues in school, she had this call to ministry, and I was preaching before her, and I walked her through what would have been required for her to give herself to full-time ministry. And no, she came through the ranks and she was there, and I was able to visit with her in Guyana, where she was called to serve after having been trained. So you are helping others, and they are helping you to realize your potential. And together, you realize that mentorship is not limited to older persons helping younger persons. It can also be the flip side, because age is not maturity, and
Right,
that's a
Right.
reality
right.
that we have to face, right?
We definitely
You
have to
think,
do that, Sean.
Yeah.
and then you also think about peer mentoring, which I found very useful. I was a part of a mentorship program project by the Association of Methodist Men's Fellowship some 10 years ago, and they had a very structured program. And through that, we did research and developed what is a mentorship program manual, the first of its kind in the region. And we engage in training our persons to actually appreciate that mentorship needs to be structured. Even if it is informal, there should be some structure to it, and the persons involved in those relationships must realize that there is mutual benefit to be gained. It's not about who can give you money, who can pay your school fee, who can pay your bills. It's not limited to that, but more about the holistic man, the personal development, touching every element, every facet of life, so that persons can become their best selves, right? The best
So,
versions of their
so
selves.
Sean,
And
walk us through the 4 phases then of mentorship.
all right, so you talk about the initiation of that relationship. So you meet, you would need to identify what is it that persons see themselves becoming, right?
Okay.
Having initiated that conversation, that one-on-one, you begin to determine now, how do I accomplish that? And so you determine that, all right, since these are my goals, we need to get into this mentorship relationship. When
Okay.
we get into that mentorship relationship now,
Mm-hmm.
we resolve some targets. So you determine what are the times that we're going to have conversation, what are the times that we're going to have face-to-face meetings. I mean, pre-COVID, of course, but now the
Right.
Yeah.
virtual space allows you to meet. Zin? So when are we going to meet? What is the plan? What is the path? And map out how you're going to guide these persons towards realizing achieving their goals. And when you would have done that, now it's important that along the journey during the relationship, now you are actually sticking to it. So all the targets that you set, you stick to it. And when you miss those targets, you realign them to ensure that the person who you're mentoring still has that desire to realize those things. And if they are challenged, then you try to put them in touch with persons who would be able to do it. And then, which some persons don't realize, is that at the end, the mentorship can come to an end. So you would have started a relationship, agreed on your terms, then you engage in this relationship, the capacity building, the
Okay.
personal guidance, and then it can come to an end because it may not be perennial. The mentor might not be available forever. The mentee may need another element of development. So you might guide them into their tertiary areas of studies or guide them through high school. But then they have life beyond that, and you might not have the capacity to help them to go through the adulting elements of life because your adulting realities would have been different and the things that they are aligned to or they like would vary. And so you may want to put them in touch with somebody else who has the capacity. Don't take on those developmental areas of person's life that you don't yourself have the capacity to develop, and then it results in persons being abused, in persons not realizing their full potential, and ultimately saying, "Boy, my mentor messed up my life because I never realized what would I do," and then they start turning it into a money thing. So my
Right.
mentor don't give me no
Yeah.
money, and then some people do that, and it's very different from
So,
caregiving. It's not
You know,
caregiving.
like quickly, because we're kind of short on time. What does Black History Month mean to you? Quickly.
Say again.
What does Black History Month mean to you?
Okay, so for me personally, earlier this year, would have engaged in this project led by Joel Namdarkam, where we identified some young men in Jamaica, Black Kings Rising, and it was trending across the world on social media. And for me personally, I say what I said in that time, it's that it is a time when, as Black people across the world, we are able to look in ourselves, to introspect, and see all that has been put in us, that we were created with purpose, that we were created to fulfill our God-given purpose, and there is nothing that is insurmountable once we put ourselves to it. And we have added much value to the world, and we will continue to do that, knowing that even if there are difficulties in our country, there is nothing wrong with Jamaica that cannot be fixed by what is right with it. And
Jamaica.
as Black Jamaicans, as Black people in the world, we have to rise up and make that
Amen,
difference and
Sean.
impact.
Amen. We're going to end
Hallelujah.
on
Thank
that
you, Sean.
note. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Sean. We got some great, tips about mentorship.
Yeah,
So thank you so
definitely.
much.
Anyway,
Thank you so much for having
yeah,
me.
keep doing
Bless
what you're doing. Thanks for joining us once again. And after the break, we're gonna have some more Weekend Smile.